What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of The Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always, Garrett Williams, and I am joined tonight by two co-hosts of mine. One a usual co-host, one a little less common co-host. Kyle Henning at the top right of the screen. How we doing tonight, Kyle?
It's been an interesting first little jaunt without football through the weekend and all the other stuff. Had a bunch of different things that you can't get out of when there's not football games on the weekend, which I was not super.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We had my nephew's birthday party was Saturday, which was good, and then Sunday was I needed to just take a day to myself, so we didn't do a whole lot on Sunday, and that was actually kind of nice, but.
Yeah.
No Sunday football, which meant I didn't actually have to get up at a certain time or worry about fantasy lineups at a certain time. So I actually slept in for once.
Yeah, Sundays have been a little bit more boring recently, the past couple of weeks. So something that entire kingdom will have to adjust to. And then joining us at the bottom of the screen, we've got friend of the show, co-host of Kingdom Recon, Mr. Randy Ellenberger. How we doing tonight, Randy?
Doing awesome, man. It's good to be back. It's been a little while, but I'm excited to step back into the realm of the Chiefs talk here for a little bit, and we'll figure out what this offseason is going to look like and how we kind of finesse the old roster and move on to go for the three-peat.
Yeah.
Load up the roster and run it back again. So.
Yep, running back for the third time, the three-peat, which would be absolutely insane to think about. But yeah, it is officially the off-season for us. But before we get too deep into the off-season, Randy, we haven't had you on since the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl. It's been approximately 2 weeks and some change since the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, and just wanted to get your thoughts on it since you haven't gotten a chance to really disclose all of your Super Bowl thoughts. So interested to hear how you think.
Oh, what a trip, right? This is just it's still a little hard to believe that it did come back. We did go back to back. It's an incredibly hard thing to do in the NFL, but that game was back and forth. First half feeling each other out. It wasn't going awesome for us offensively, and you sit there at halftime and you're like, all right, we've been in this place before. We've been down in the second half. We've been down to these guys by 10 in the fourth quarter before. So not overly panicking, but the blood pressure was definitely on the rise. But that kind of back and forth, as soon as we blocked that extra point, I was feeling good. That changed a lot of scenarios and made things a whole lot easier for us. And then to see the Tom and Jerry version of corn dog, coming back again was just, I lost my mind, went bonkers. So everybody in the room, I was, we kind of had a housewarming Super Bowl party for our friends that just built a new house. So we had it at their place, and I had to make sure that I didn't break anything or, go bonkers. So but it was awesome. Got to watch it with my friends and family. So it was a beautiful thing.
We love that. It's always good when you get to share those moments. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really cool. It still kind of feels surreal, like you said, that
it does.
It happened, and we did it back to back, and
2 weeks and it's still right. So I still get asked about it by everybody that hasn't seen me since the Super Bowl yet. Every time I'm doing a phone call or a text or whatever it is. So it's all good. Still loving it.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a fun time for sure. Very, very hopeful and very anticipating of the last franchise episode that they put out. Usually comes out like the first week of March. They ended up putting out the Super Bowl episode, which is funny to say that there's a trend of having Super Bowl episodes out nowadays. But that's gonna be real cool. All the mic'd ups and all the different like behind the scenes stuff that's come out just makes it even crazier and more fun.
That stuff is awesome. That stuff is awesome.
That's the stuff that really, it's like, it's the stuff that's like, man, it doesn't feel real.
I don't know about you guys, but I've been wearing my Chief stuff out pretty much like I always do. But I've been wearing it out and doing stuff out in public the last few weeks, and I get lots of comments a lot, and not always. I've had the Niners fans. I've had the Niners fans say something to me a couple times while I've been out, and I just smile and.
Yeah. So it was 2 weeks ago. It was the weekend after the Super Bowl. Every year I have my brothers and old college roommates come up to our place. We have a big ice fishing weekend and whatnot. And that was a topic of conversation, I bet, for the first solid 5 hours of us, hanging around, everybody drinking, shooting the shit. And they're like, all right, we get it. You're good. Can you let somebody else win for a while?
No.
Like, retire? I was like, no.
It's not gonna happen.
I'm gonna ride this train as long as it goes. And I was like, it would be nice to maybe see one of their teams, because they're mostly NFC fans. They're a bunch of Viking fans, and my brother's a Cowboys fan, and I think
that one I can't.
There's a Packer fan thrown in there, so
I could
maybe
stomach the Viking and the Packer fans. No star.
Cowboys, you ain't gotta worry about that. No, yeah. And you know what? All these teams, I would hope that they get a chance to do it after the Chiefs three-peat. Once we three-peat, then maybe we'll probably just go for the four-peat. So I don't know how much room there will be. But
like I said, I understand the sentiment, because we were used to have to deal with the Patriots at one point. But now that
we understand it more than anything. Yeah.
Other foot, I don't really have the same interest in watching other people win. So,
not fun. Yeah.
With that kind of said, before we dive, like Garrett said, too deep, I do a couple of the behind the scenes things that have come out, and some news and notes things that have happened since I think we spoke last. So we talked briefly about everybody getting coaching extension contracts, and I mean everybody pretty much on the Chiefs. And now maybe sometime soon, potentially might happen soon, that Andy may probably become the most highest paid head coach. I'm mildly quoting Tom Pelissero's tweet that had 14 qualifiers in front of what was going on. But supposedly there are rumors that he's getting an extension, which it makes perfect sense. He just went back to back to going for 3. You just extended every coach on the staff, named Andy Reid with the new money. It's now Andy's turn to get new money. That's how that works. And when you're the best in the league, and by the way, that's not even a conversation at this point, because the other guy who would be in the conversation is not working this year. So it's Andy, and he gets and Clark's, like I said, Clark's already pulled out the checkbook several times for the coaches. It's a little different than the players, because there's no cap to it. Curious to see. I think we're getting a little bit of a sign from Clark that, hey, I'm pulling out the wallet right now for the coaches, because I know we're going for a third one, and I don't know that he's going to put it away until they're done going full in as far as they want to go with going for 3 here. So we're going to talk a bunch about that. What was your guys' takeaway on a soon-to-be cap casualty making the call that doesn't even have him featured in the play that they get a crucial 4th down on? MVS making the comment to Patrick and Andy.
Yeah, Peter King came out and revealed that, basically, because he talked to Mahomes and on that 4th and 1 play in overtime in the Super Bowl, where the Chiefs needed 1 yard, they lose the Super Bowl. MVS comes up to the sideline and basically calls the play, calls the shot,
calls somebody else's number.
Yeah, for a play that's not even designed for him. It's an option for either Kelsey or Rasheed. And Mahomes is like, yeah, that's perfect. And if anything else, I can just take it myself. And lo and behold, that's what Mahomes did. And it's funny. It is really crazy to all the little nuances of how championships like that are made. And a guy like MVS calling that shot, that's huge.
I think it's a very nice window into that locker room and into that culture and into that environment and how this team operates. Fans get frustrated. Fans get upset. Guys get frustrated inside with each other too. Chris Jones was frustrated with MVS at a point in that Super Bowl overtime. Where are you going?
You're not the only one.
We're going to turn a 4-yard gain into a 4-yard loss real fast.
But it's the sum of the parts, and it's the whole body of work. And time again in the playoffs, when it mattered, MVS made or suggested huge plays. Right. And at
Turned out,
the end of the day, and not only did he suggest them, Patrick and Andy and Travis and the company were willing to listen to what he had to say and take it and use it. And it's similar to the other side of the ball with Spags, with the Nick Bolton conversation, with the blitz play for McDuffie that was gigantic, and all it. It shows you the dynamic of the team, of the roster itself, of the coaching staff, and how the whole thing is built.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the interview that Peter Schrager did with Steve Spagnuolo, great interview. Definitely
or
need
Baldy.
to check that thing out.
He did one with Brian Baldinger too, and they broke
down.
Like,
Yeah, he also did that one. That was really good.
Also, I would love to sit and watch and break down film with Baldy. That would be.
And or Spags, because those dudes.
Yep. In other news post Super Bowl, the Chiefs did return to Vegas for a Super Bowl celebration. We saw Pat and Kelsey and a bunch of them. I mean, we saw a lot of the team. Yeah, exactly. Pat said before the Super Bowl, like, "Hey, we're in Vegas. Nobody leave your room. Nobody do nothing. We're not doing nothing here. If we win, I'll take you guys back."
And apparently there was multiple events. Like the boys were out there for multiple days. Some of them did certain things and some of them did other things. And then they all had that big old group outing we saw Patrick and Travis filmed at. There was a whole bunch of guys out there. Quarterback awareness and tight end awareness stayed on 100 while they were out in public. They both hit the swerve dance moves away from the danger. Right. And Patrick knew it and turned and smiled at the camera like, no. And
So that was cool to see all the celebrations. That saw like Pacheco and Creed Humphrey and a bunch of the guys out there. It was a good time.
I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody went because there was reports from a bunch of
Patrick Mahomes offers to take you to Vegas to celebrate the Super Bowl win. You probably go with him to Vegas.
Trey Smith was on the show doing his podcast, which I don't know if you guys know this. I found this out a couple weeks ago. Trey Smith has a podcast.
Yeah,
he does with
Josh Dobbs
and another guy.
I found that out mid-season when Josh Dobbs got traded, and I was like, he has a podcast with Trey Smith? Yeah.
So Trey was talking about how they did some different stuff even before going out to that party. Trey had some other engagements with the offensive linemen and some other guys and stuff. So sounds like the crew was in Vegas for at least a couple days when they on their way back, when they went back to Vegas. So glad that they got to go celebrate in the town because, man, I was listening to the Trey episode with Josh, and they were talking about it, and Josh and the other hosts were talking about all the stuff they did during the Super Bowl, and Trey's like, I was in the hotel room. I was in the hotel room.
Yeah. Not much fun that week for the guys. All business. That's all it was, and obviously it paid off.
But it works.
Right?
Yeah. So, anything else we need to cover?
Yeah. So Tommy Townsend's probably not coming back, and Garrett's very upset.
Well, that's part of the free agency discussion, Kyle. We're gonna get into that. I mean, that can be what we lead with for sure.
Because it's partially news because there's also already been transactions by the Chiefs involving his.
The Chiefs have signed some guys to future contracts and signed them to some contracts. Some league minimum deals. One of which being the Chiefs signing. Punter, former 6th-round pick out of Buffalo from San Diego State he went to. Mr. Matt Ariza.
Punt God is his nickname in college.
That was his nickname. Sure was his nickname.
Obviously, if you've Googled him at all, and I'm sure Chiefs Kingdom has.
So
went down. I'm not going to get too much into it. You can easily find all of that information.
Just say that
he was due diligence. Great.
Drafted by the Bills in the 6th round, released in the preseason because of some certain allegations that came about at him. Like I said, you can Google them. It's pretty severe. Recently, though, he went through a whole court case with it. He got dismissed. That
court case is still ongoing with other plaintiffs involved.
It's still going, but he was, I guess, out of it.
Correct.
So the Chiefs obviously did their due diligence with that case, I'm guessing, and wouldn't have signed him if anything looked a little suspicious.
They have too much spotlight on them not to do their due diligence. Crap like
the punter, the player himself is where my concerns really are at, and Tom or Kyle kind of alluded to. Tommy Townsend is a free agent, and that'll kind of be the first discussion of the Chiefs offseason because the Chiefs have a lot of free agents. Coming up, 27 of them to be exact, if we counted correctly. So obviously, when you have a couple big name free agents like Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed, and you need, we're going to have to spend some money on some bigger guys. You're going to probably have to make some sacrifices. And Tommy Townsend is a free agent. He also is repped by Mr. Drew Rosenhaus, who loves getting his clients the maximum value that he possibly can. So the Chiefs sign Mr. Punt God, Matt Ariza, to a league minimum deal, and Tommy Townsend more than likely is going to go get paid by a team. Now, I still don't think it's completely ruled out that he won't be a Chief. I'll still hold that judgment until he actually signs with another team. Because I'm still kind of convinced that Matt Ariza is just a camp leg, but hey, who knows? My issue with the whole Matt Ariza signing and letting Tommy Townsend walk really doesn't come into a whole lot of the actual punting ability. Now, listen, Matt Ariza can punt the ball far. If you watch highlights of Matt Ariza, you will see him punting the ball incredibly far. That's kind of the only thing he does, though, is punt the ball really far. Not much placement, accuracy, keeping it inside the 5, inside the 10, shorter kicks like that. He's kind of been known to outkick his coverage a little bit. All these things that, hey, he kicks the ball far, though, and that's a good trait to have. The bigger thing that concerns me with the whole thing is the holding ability that seems like just kind of gets forgotten about. The punter, especially in a Chiefs offense where you're probably holding more than you're punting, the holding is a big thing. And when we saw Tommy Townsend get signed as an undrafted free agent to replace Dustin Colquitt, that was a problem. That was a pretty significant problem his first year holding for Harrison Butker. Harrison had one of his worst years that year. And
Harrison was also hurt, but yes.
Yeah,
Tommy,
but it factored into it for sure that it took him about a year to kind of get comfortable with holding for him, and there's a huge operation when it comes to the whole snap to kick to hold type deal for special teams. Those 3 special teams guys, they basically have nothing to do all of practice because they don't really have meetings, so. That's the big thing that they kind of just work on is the operation. And it still took Tommy about a year. And Tommy actually held in college for Florida. He actually held for, I believe, the Bengals kicker, McPherson, if I saw that right. But he actually had holding abilities. Matt Ariza both punted and kicked in college. So he has not held many balls.
Now, in Buffalo last 21, whatever. I think it was 21 was last time he was on a
22,
roster.
I think.
22? I can't remember.
Yeah, 22.
Anyway, in Buffalo, he was supposed to have been holding in camp for them. I would say in college he was more out kicking. Now, how much of that is San Diego State's coverage team and how much of that is him out kicking them? There's probably a little bit of both there. The other part is as he's been working through his processes later on, the stuff in Buffalo was he was pinning the ball deep just fine. He was coughing, cornering, and was doing some of those things that he had seemed to have trouble with at San Diego State. So it'll be interesting to see what he does this year, and especially once newly extended Dave Tobe gets his hands on him, kind of what that looks like.
Yeah.
The holding thing is an aspect I railed about when they let Dustin go for Tommy to begin with. I threw a temper tantrum when they did it because I knew it was going to cause problems, and everybody told me, oh, it'll be fine. And then we had to pull our hair out on extra points for an entire season.
Yeah.
So I get the concern, but I'm not paying $5 million for a holder. And I'm telling you right now, Drew Rosenhaus is going to go looking for $4 to $5 million for Tommy Townsend.
And Tommy's going to get paid. He's got his rings. He's been an All-Pro. The dude is good. There's no doubt about it.
He's got a picture with Taylor Swift flexing, so he's like brand made for a while now.
He's going to get paid. And the thing with Ariza, with all the the intangibles that we're talking about, our golden ticket is Coach Tobe. So he is one of the best special teams coaches ever. The dude knows what he's talking about. As I was a long snapper in college. I was a linebacker and long snapper. Whenever I coached, I always worked with the punters, the long snappers, the kickers. It is a process. It is something that you have to rep the bejesus out of every day. But legit, that's all they do during practice. They snap, they hold, they kick. That little trifecta of people is off on a goalpost somewhere else on the side of the field, out of everybody else's way, and they are constantly working on that stuff together. So in Coach Toba, I have trust, just like in Spags, we trust. Does it suck to see Tommy go? Yeah, it does. It sucked to see Dustin go. He was a mainstay for years and years and years.
He was the only good player for like 4 years.
Oh, legit, for sure.
He was. Dustin was also a lot older, though. So, I mean,
yeah.
Yes.
But, he has the tools that you need to work with. The rest of the technique and everything else can be refined, taught. We'll be just fine.
And to Randy's point about he's going to get paid. So just so we're all on the same page here, Tommy's deal for the first 3 years was $2.3 million total for the first 3 seasons, from 20 to 22. Yeah. For last year, he played on a 1-year deal where they signed him for $2.6 million. He then went and got Drew Rosenhaus.
He's going to get 4.5 a year now.
He's going to be after basically a deal that pays him more than he's made in his 2 contracts combined on a yearly basis. That's what they're going to look for, because that's the market, because he's got rings. He's got the holding experience. He's been a punter. Now, has he had trouble in some of the bigger games that they've played in at points with this punting? Yes. Is it all the time? No. But it seemed to show up most in the bigger games where one would get shanked into oblivion for no reason.
It happened in the Super Bowl, his rookie season. But other than that,
and in this Super Bowl, he won short, and his first punt of the game was, I think, 40 yards. So
I don't know. Also in the Super Bowl, though, he had pretty much a game-winning, game-saving hold.
He did with the grab on the hold, because Winchester.
So that's just my thing about the whole situation. I really hate to have to break up that combination, especially when he just helped you win a Super Bowl. He had a punt that had
$5 million total in his career.
Listen, the salary cap just went up by a lot. I'll pay $5 million. I don't care. I'll pay $5 million to him.
Okay, well,
you earned it.
All right, so if you're paying Tommy $5 million, then becomes, because we're in the free agency portion of this conversation. Here are the Chiefs free agents for the other free agents for the Chiefs outside of Tommy Townsend. Chris Jones, McCole Hardman, Mike Edwards, Drew Tranquil, Donovan Smith, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Nick Allegretti, Tershawn Wharton, James Winchester, Prince Tega Winogo, Willie Gay Jr., Jerick McKinnon, Derek Noddy, Richie James, Blake Bell, Deion Bush, L'Jarius Sneed, Michael Dana. You guys recognize a lot of these names? I mean, there's more on here, but a lot of those are starters.
Yeah. A lot of big players.
A lot.
Yeah.
So $5 million for a fucking punter when you've got that many holes to fill, I'm out.
I still do it.
Out.
I still do it.
Out real fast.
I don't. My heart is with you, Garrett. My heart's with you. My heart's with Garrett. My head is with Kyle. And with the business side of things, it is. I think it's going to be the punt god, and Coach Tobe he'll get him right. So
we will see. Listen, we'll see. And it might be a listen. And I acknowledged while we were discussing, because we had, the group chat had a very big discussion about this the day that it was signed. And listen, we have to recognize that we are incredibly spoiled individuals, that we are really fretting and complaining over a punter change. That's how you know that the Chiefs are doing good if we're complaining about punter changes. So it might be nothing, and ultimately punting, it's not going to play it probably won't win or lose us a season, but it will be something that we're going to have to look at. And I'm just saying, in 8 months when we're in the middle of the season and his holds are horrible, I'll just say it. I told you so. But we'll see. We will
bang
see
that drum when it is.
Yeah, but past that, because
my other concern though is also seeing Winchester as a free agent as well.
Yeah, that's another thing where it's like you might just switch up 2/3 of the operation for Harrison. I don't know how great that is.
They'll bring Bo back, or they'll bring James back.
I would be very surprised unless James is retiring, that James goes anywhere else.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
And he costs you vet min. He's $1 million player. Like he just check, move on. Like that.
It would make sense for him to keep them.
Unless he is 34,
operation
working on 35. But unless he's
long
retired,
you can. I mean, Kendall Gammon played till what? He was 38, 39.
something like that.
You're a long snapper. You snap. There's not a lot of wear and tear on your body. You cover. You're
not even allowed to get like jumped on or hit really anymore until
James can tackle some folks though. James has some good tackles on.
I know,
folks. But
he doesn't. He's not. Yeah, dude. Long snappers used to get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, long snappers used to have a pretty bad job. Now they're pretty protected. They live a pretty good life.
Right. Yeah.
Those guys used to get crap.
Let's diverge from the special teams talk here, because who really cares, right? I mean, I'm fretting about it because I care.
Apparently, we care a lot.
I care tremendously.
Should we start at the top of this list?
Yeah, I think
we'll start at the top,
but I think we should also start with some of the bigger names. Yeah. We'll start with the bigger names here first. The two guys that are basically going to be the big topic of discussion. I think we should just dive right into it here. Chiefs' two big free agents, Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed.
Oh,
nope, not that guy. Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed are the Chiefs' biggest free agents. That's going to be the most money that they're going to be spending on one or both players. I think all can agree, both tremendous players. Would both love to have them back. I think there have been a couple people on Twitter. I know Connor Christopherson has crunched some numbers to make them both fit with some restructuring of Mahomes' contracts and a couple cuts and whatnot.
Restructuring is going to happen every year to every other year now.
Yeah, the Chiefs are going to free up some room.
That's exactly why it was done.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think they may approach this year a tiny bit different than they have the last few years for a couple of reasons. Mainly being, I think they're probably going to tear it up after next year and start over anyway, as far as what the deal looks like. So it gives them some more room. Yes. So it gives them some more room, even more to this year to use, I think, all of it, versus in the past they've used 50% or a certain number amount that they knew they needed to use. I would not be stunned if they went and robbed the whole piggy bank for this one.
Yeah, because for those who aren't familiar with how Mahomes' deal is set up, they basically have guarantee mechanisms, as what it's called, that basically converts all of Patrick Mahomes' basically all of his money into.
He's got $35 million in a roster bonus right now.
Right. So you basically convert most of what he's owed into just a direct signing bonus, and that frees up a ton of cap space. And we've seen the Chiefs the past couple years, they haven't used all of what they could with his deal, mostly because you're kind of pushing it back every time you do it. So you don't want to use the whole, you don't want to, empty the whole cookie jar every single time, unless, like Kyle was saying, in a situation where they might just kind of rip up that deal and give him a new one next year anyways. Well, that was kind of a report after he signed the deal. It's like, yeah, we'll revisit the fifth, sixth year type situation.
I'll crawl into more a little bit why, because this is, so next year it's going to be near 60 million anyway, as far as what the cap hit's going to be, or more. And so they're getting to the portion of this deal, and they just did a redo on it a few years ago, last year, I think. But right now, those 3 years, the next three coming up are like 60, 63, and 59, and that's before they do any restructuring with this year, which they're going to. So, but then it kicks out down the road into some smaller base salaries, and it's got more roster bonus built in, but it's a little bit smaller, and they don't have as much cookie jar there to rob. And he's going to have to set a new market cap again once the cap for the league, probably next year with the salary cap going up, going to be closer to almost 70-ish million since the last time he signed a deal. So he's going to have to reset the market number again for everybody. So they're likely going to tear up or redo that whole stretch of years from 25 or 6 through, I think it's listed right now as 2033.
Yeah, it's like 32 or 33 is what that ends. So that's definitely something that on the horizon will probably come up pretty frequently. But what that means for this year is that they're probably going to have a decent amount of room to
could have nearly
maneuver.
70 million in cap space this year if they take
Yeah.
all
And I know there's a
of
couple
Patrick's and cut MVS and do a couple of other things.
cut
Like for
MVS.
example,
I think
Joe
Jawan Taylor
Tooney.
would have a case for a restructure of his deal. I think Joe Tooney was maybe talked about a little bit as well.
Those are both names I was going to mention. They could take and extend out one or both, or restructure. Probably more on Jawan's than Tooney's. They've restructured Tooney several times. He's going to need an extension.
We also have to sit here and think about, there's the we got Creed, and State coming up at the same time as well.
And that's why I bring up the ability to cut MVS and save a ton of money. They can also extend Travis and save some money because he's a $15 million cap hit this season.
Yep.
They've got some guys that they are going to want to keep on this roster that they can give money to and solve some of these immediate, because most of the guys I just mentioned are all of your big cap numbers remaining on this wing that's still on the roster.
Because we are pretty blessed to have a really young team.
Yeah, that's definitely.
They've currently got 30. They've got currently estimated at $28.5 million in cap space on. We're using Spot Track for you guys if you guys are trying to follow along or see the numbers we're looking at. They do a really good job over Spot Track, so I really like to use their numbers. They do a fantastic job. It's also really easy to see everything, and it lays it out quite nice. So you've got some guys there that you can extend and create even more room for. And that's, I think, going through what Connor did and what I've kind of done on my own on some of the calculators, you're going to have to do that if you really want to do both Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed, most likely.
Yeah, you're going to definitely, because, I mean, Chris Jones, obviously, we went through that whole thing, that whole ordeal last year.
The market value that SpotTrack has is 28.5. Chris wants 30. The Chiefs wanted 26.5. We said for a year and a half that the deal needed to be $28 million and move on for everybody, and let's get on with our lives.
Exactly.
So SpotTrack having the market cap being 28.5 million makes perfect sense to me at this point. It's just a matter of, is Chris gonna do and be more involved in the negotiations, or are we still dealing with the Wish.com agents? And that's
those guys
those guys suck. Yeah, no kidding.
Well, and I don't really even care if they go. If he doesn't want to fire him, that's fine, but you need to step in and handle your own deal at this point, because if you really want to be here and you really want to be a part of this three-peat and you really want to be here for 4 or 5 next couple of years after that, you just watched whatever they just tried to do last year, and that was when you were
didn't cut it last year. Yeah.
So, like, if you're not going to be involved, because he wasn't pretty much involved in negotiations from basically all accounts last year.
Hopefully, he learned his lesson.
I would hope so. Because I remember when Travis had this problem, when he had before his last deal, when Travis was trying to get a deal done, they were trying to work with Travis, and his agent was like, no, we need to do this. Travis is like, no, you need to go work for somebody else, and I will get this deal done. Thank you. Have a good day.
Right.
And so I hope Chris is right and has figured out and has all the things we just discussed. They are going to have to make significant moves for Mahomes' money to do that, which they can do at their own will. But I think you have to start with Chris. And I know everybody loves L'Jarius.
I would love to see
all that.
I would love to see Chris sign a 4-year, $120 million, $80 million.
3 for 88.
Move on. Move on.
I think
gonna sign Jones. We're going to tag Sneed, and we're going to work out something with Sneed.
Yeah, because Sneed, as reported by SpoTrack, basically has a market value of about $16.3 million, which kind of lines up with the other cornerback contracts in that realm. So you're looking at 28.5 and then 16.5 for both of those guys combined. So that's definitely a pretty penny to have to dish out. Now, my question to you guys right now, if we had to choose one, we're choosing Chris over Sneed 100%?
I'm on the other side. If I have to
matters too much in the NFL.
If I have to pick between the two, I take Sneed. His blitzing ability, his ability to shut down a number one the way he tackles and plays. I love Chris. I am a huge Chris fan. I love his ability to push the pocket, to create double teams, to free up other people. But there are times where you watch Chris dog it, and you never see Snead dog it.
Yeah, about week 7 and week 9, and then again in week.
I think so. The big conversation I think that has been taking place and has already kind of taken place. Brett Veach is really good at drafting corners. Like we know that, obviously. Like Trent McDuffie, he drafted Jamari Connor last year. You had Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams. He drafted L'Jarius Sneed, exactly.
I understand we have really good corners on our team with Williams behind him. I mean,
right. And the other thing too is like, and conversely, they haven't really drafted a lot of D tackles. Haven't really done a lot as far as D line, D tackle type deal. He's really good at drafting corners, and like I said, Jamari Connor can kind of play that role a little bit. And there's no question that they'd probably find a couple other good corners to draft this year. I don't know. I'm also kind of on Randy's side of, if I have to pick a guy, I might lean more towards Snead. And I mean, and it's not even, I would like both of them. Let's just make that clear. I would like both of them 100%. I think just from a realism standpoint, from the Chiefs side, unless, like we all hope, Chris Jones ditches his agents, which cross our fingers, it just feels like, what they went through last year, they might just say like, hey, here's the deal. If you don't want it, then just don't take it. But we're not gonna do this whole back and forth all off season. We're gonna offer you a deal, take it or leave it, and we're gonna focus on other things, which would be Snead next, I think.
Wait, they're the first two things that have to get done one way or the other. Those are your first two pieces that have to move. But to everybody's conversation here, look, you can talk to me about corners all you want. Pass rush in the NFL determines more than any other thing on the defensive side of the ball. Period. End of story. It does.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
You need any evidence of that? The Buffalo Bills probably play the Baltimore Ravens, if not for Chris Jones putting Deion Dawkins in Josh Allen's lap and making him miss a wide open receiver. The San Francisco 49ers are potentially Super Bowl champions. It wouldn't have been over, but it would have been a lot harder if he throws the ball to Juwan Jennings or Brandon Ayuk, who were both butt naked wide open on the play that they decided not to block Chris Jones. Now, not blocking Chris Jones is a personal decision that I will leave up to that
certainly a decision. Yeah, no kidding.
Will never understand it. Justin Reed was as surprised as everybody else was too, because he was like, "Wait, you're blocking me? You see that dude, right? Okay, well, great. I'm glad you blocked me." But like,
Chris Jones,
Randy, he does not always give you 100% of 100% of the snaps that he plays every week. I'm never gonna argue that with you, because we've seen it for too long, and it's not a knock. I'm not hating. It's just a fact. But when it matters, every year, down the stretch, in the playoffs, he does not take snaps off. Did he miss Joe Burrow a couple years ago, a couple of times, and not?
Yeah, I mean, you could be a hater and be like, he only got his first playoff sack last year.
He missed. Yeah. There's a difference. Now, does he have only 2.5 playoff sacks in as many career games as he does? Yes. He's also been one of the most disruptive forces on the field.
Yeah, there's a lot more disruption that comes from Chris Jones besides just
Frank Clark is
numbers.
very thankful for his playoff sack numbers to Chris Jones. Very thankful. Yeah. And I love Frank Clark, and Frank Clark knows where that bread got buttered.
Yeah, and we can't discount, L'Jarius Snead also had tons of huge plays this playoffs run that we probably don't win if he doesn't, get that forced fumble versus the Ravens, the Dolphins game. Both of these guys are absolutely phenomenal players. And like we said, we are hoping and crossing our fingers both of them get re-signed. I think there's very easy and plausible paths for both of them to be re-signed here. Now, the Chiefs also did lose their main, money guru in Brant Tillis this offseason. So that is something to think about. But that's definitely the two big free agents that the Chiefs will definitely prioritize. After that, the next tier of guys, there's a couple other pretty significant guys that some of them have maybe earned a big contract elsewhere, and some of them might be in a good spot to be brought back. So we'll go through a little bit. We'll kind of have a quick take on a couple of the guys. I guess we'll start from the top here. You want to start from the top of we got Mecole Hardman, who the Chiefs obviously they like a lot. They traded for him halfway through the season to bring him back, and it seems like, I mean, his market might not be huge. Obviously, he went to the Jets and didn't really do much. Who knows what his market will be? I think he could probably get re-signed to the Chiefs on a cheaper deal if he wanted to do that. It'll just kind of be whatever his market is. What do we think about Mecole?
I mean, 4th, 5th wide receiver, couple million, $1 million, $2 million.
Yeah, has familiarity with the scheme. It's good carryover.
It's not going to cost you
anything. Guy.
I don't think it's going to cost you anything really extensively, and he provides you stability at multiple aspects. Returner, receiver, he can run out of the backfield. He can do some of the other scat backy, Jerick McKinnon-y stuff, because I don't know that Jerick McKinnon is playing another snap for the Chiefs or for anybody for that matter.
Or anybody,
he may be done or he may move on, but I don't think he's playing anymore in Kansas City.
I mean, McKinnon's going to be 32 by the time the season rolls around again.
Been hurt a lot.
The dude's had an injury. He's had a good run. I'm a big Jerick McKinnon fan ever since his days. When I was, ticket holder at NDSU and Georgia Southern's coming into our house to play in semifinal game. So I've watched Jerick McKinnon a lot. Big fan of his. I love his attitude. I love his tool set. But I think the end of the road has come for Mr. McKinnon. And I think we can just move on from there. So
more than likely, yeah. We're all big Jerick McKinnon fans, but the writing's kind of on the wall, and we'll see obviously how he feels about the whole situation. The Chiefs also have another free agent running back in Mr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Who so I can also see back on a cheap-ass contract.
Yeah, another cheap contract potentially. Randy's waving goodbye to him. I think Clyde will be kind of a situation. The Chiefs are obviously going to be a lot higher than him than the rest of the league is. I don't know how huge his market will be outside, and so he might just end up coming back to a cheaper deal.
If he comes back on a super cheap 2-year deal, be Pacheco's backup or to be the
that's what it would be.
It'd be a cheap deal, and
that's what it would be, because
you want to have some kind of turnover and carryover from the previous year. You don't want to just have to get a complete new set of because I mean he's at this point Mecole and Clyde are both vets of this team. Multiple Super Bowl champions. Like, they're good locker room guys for sure, who know the system, who know what they're supposed to do. They obviously know the Chiefs way type deal.
I got my eye on a couple late round running backs that we'll talk about.
I would even go as far into the 3rd round if necessary for one, but that's a subject we'll get into much later.
Yeah, running backs. There's always a lot of fun running backs in the draft.
For another episode, but I got my eyes. So.
And obviously the Chiefs found a great running back in the 7th round a couple years ago, so that'll probably sway their decision making a little bit. And like we've talked about this entire time, you're gonna have to cut corners somewhere and get cheaper and replace guys with rookies. So
there's a couple dudes out there that play a lot like Mr. McKinnon that I really, really like. So
that'd be huge. A couple other notable guys. So here's a guy I want to talk about, a guy that has I think has obviously played his last days as a Chief and has earned a huge contract somewhere else. That'd be Willie Gay, who basically this entire playoff run kind of said the writing was on the wall that it would probably be his last year. I think he's going to go get a very big linebacker contract from a team. A team will probably sign him to be like their linebacker 1 or linebacker 2. He's a smart guy. He obviously played will linebacker for us for a lot of that, but I could see him playing middle linebacker. I could see him doing pretty much anything.
He's valuable.
Yeah, he's
way
a very valuable.
Will. He can cover sideline to sideline as a will linebacker, and it's crazy how athletic he is.
Willie Gay, I think, unfortunately, will get a very big contract from another team.
He's too expensive.
Yeah, it's just, and good for Willie. Obviously, he's a multiple-time Super Bowl champion now. Huge part of this entire run. But the Chiefs have other options at linebacker. Obviously, some younger guys who are still on some rookie deals. And, we'll talk about another free agent linebacker.
Older free agent that they're probably going to have a chance to
That's the
bring
thing. We'll just transition right into it. Drew Tranquil, obviously also a free agent and a guy who played a lot of snaps this year in filling in for. I mean, he filled in for everybody. He filled in for Nick Bolton. He filled in for Willie. He played everything. And
I absolutely love to see Tranquil.
Yeah, we're all huge Drew Tranquil fans here.
Yeah, and he's just going to be cheaper than Willie, I think, because
exactly. I mean, he's older by like
cheaper. He's smarter. Yeah. I think he's more dependable when it comes to scheme, because there's a lot of times where Willie's one of those puppies chasing a car type guys as well, where he gets himself into trouble chasing things and his eyes are not where they're supposed to be. You have the combination of Tranquil and Bolton and Death Row out there. That's three incredibly fast, physical linebackers that know what they're doing. And between Bolton and Tranquil, those guys are so smart. They are so smart. They know exactly.
Leo's stepping up.
And,
Leo, I mean, he's gonna be a huge contributor next year as well.
Well, his ascension this year is why Willie Gay is not needed in this defense.
I mean, I think there's definitely an alternate reality in the Chiefs where they don't sign Drew Tranquil and Leo doesn't, evolve as much, and they make Willie more of a priority. But obviously, this last year, seeing how good Drew played, and it's just going to be a numbers game. He's going to be a lot cheaper because he's a couple years older. And it's Willie has earned a huge contract. That's one of those things. He deserves to go get a huge bag from a team. And meanwhile, Drew Tranquil, he's already gotten paid. Yeah, he's already gotten paid a little bit. He just is a really good linebacker. It's not a knock on Willie. It's just Drew is a really good linebacker as well. So numbers game, basically what it comes down to.
Willie and Tommy have made damn near the same amount of money. Willie and Tommy have made damn near the same amount of money for this time in Kansas City.
Willie was a second-round pick.
And Willie's about to get a way bigger bag.
Yeah. Yep. So that's kind of how we view the linebacker room going.
Like, he's got to. He's earned the deal.
Yep.
A couple other defensive free agents. We've got another guy who – what were you going to say, Kyle? Okay, I'll take it. Another guy
position is the left tackle position.
Yeah. Left tackle is we'll talk about. But I want to highlight one more defensive guy who is another guy who might be in a similar situation to Willie, which would be Mike Dana, who played really good. He'll probably won't get as big of a contract, but I think he's definitely earned a pretty decent contract from somebody else. I can see him going and signing him.
Did you see what the market value is on Spot Track for him?
I did not. Let me check old Mike Dana.
$16.8 million.
Dang.
It's like 16.8.
Yeah, Dan is not
paid.
Yeah, Dana, he and like I said, he was a third, fourth rounder. Played phenomenally well for his position and got better every single year. And like I said, he'll go get a contract, a pretty sizable contract, I think, from another team, who will make him a starting defensive end for them probably in a 4-3 scheme, maybe even a 3-4. He could maybe stand up. He's a versatile guy, but especially with the Chiefs drafting FAU in the first round last year, you drafted George Karlaftis in the first year before that. Probably going to draft another defensive lineman this year, at least one or two. So when it comes to the numbers game, and like I said, you have to save money where you can, and Mike Dana will probably be sailing off to better pastures.
Yeah,
so Mike Dana's total.
He's a good football player. He's a great role player. Apparently, he's a great guy in the locker room. But he, in my mind, is nowhere near worth $16 million a year. If that's what his market value is.
Yeah, it's a little steep. I mean, I could see like 12, 13.
Yeah, that's
regardless. He's only ever made $3.5 million total. So
right. He's going to go get whatever he can get.
Yeah,
right.
And he should. Like, once again, another guy, huge part of this dynasty run thus far. You deserve to go get that bag, Mike Dana. So,
so I mean, we are going to have to add some defensive line help either via free agency and the draft for sure.
Derek Nottie is also an injured free agent.
Yep. Derek Nottie, another guy.
Yep, for sure.
Probably. I mean, who knows? He's gotten injured so many times. The Chiefs
are free agent.
Yep.
Willie Herring is also a free agent.
well.
Lee Carring, yeah. So the defense, I mean, they're gonna have to resign at least one or two of these guys. Probably Turk. If anything, I think you get Turk back on a good deal
with Omenahu as well. So
yeah,
he wants more money, but he's still under contract.
He's still under contract. Yeah, he wants an extension. I mean, that injury couldn't have come at an absolute worst time for him.
Yeah, because he might not be.
I feel you, Charles. I want you to have an extension too, but you missed 6 games for off the field stuff, and then just blew out your ACL. So
you broke your back. You made some bad decisions. You missed 6 games. You came in and you played well. Once you got here, you did your job. I was a big fan. I loved watching him play. He's versatile with his size and his length and his power. He's a Spags, like prototypical type.
Oh, yeah. But there's too many things for you to be getting extra money right now, dude.
Exactly. And that coming off an ACL at the AFC Championship game.
You may not play until halfway through the year anyway.
Exactly. So we're gonna put an asterisk on Mr. Omenahu. We got the lanky and wiry BJ Thompson waiting in the wings as well. So
yep. That's true.
They also still have Neil Farrell on this roster, and they have Keandre Coburn running around somewhere hiding. So
we still got some dudes sitting out there that we project will do some nice things, but
the other thing that they did at D tackle, they did it in the offseason, and it's a futures contract, and I talked about it a little bit earlier. I think maybe it was pre-show, but Isaiah Buggs is a guy that they're probably going to look to slot into that defensive tackle room in rotation, or even maybe just straight swap Derek Nottie for him.
Yep. And like we said as well earlier pre-show, we're going to bring back Big Mike in like week 9, week 10.
Yeah. Get him on the phone halfway through the season.
For the home stretch. So
yeah.
They still have some other guys on the defense, but nobody giant.
Some guys you're going to have to shuffle around that defense. But there's some value to be had there that I think they'll end up figuring out. And then, heading over to the offensive side, like Kyle was about to mention, left tackle Donovan Smith is a free agent, and that's going to be a big one, I think. There's
the other tackle that's his free agent.
Yeah, also Prince Tega Winogo is a free agent as well. He was a very solid swing tackle for us.
Well, and he was the first backup for Donovan until he got hurt, because Wanye would not have come in and played for Donovan had Prince not already been gone. Because I'll be real honest with you, Prince was ahead of Wanye in camp and all the way up until he got hurt. Development-wise,
they definitely think pretty highly of Prince. I could still see them bringing him back on a cheap year just to have another good backup tackle on the roster. Right. Yeah. And but left tackle, that's going to be a position that we talk about a lot this offseason. That's one of the bigger needs, I think, by many is tackle for the Chiefs.
There are some really good tackles, 2nd, 3rd round tackles.
Yeah.
Problem is most of them are right tackles.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah. There's some left tackles. You got that's another conversation. But the conversation that we're going to have right here is obviously, the Chiefs' plan at left tackle this year. It was kind of a weird one because they signed Jawan Taylor. All of a sudden, he's reported to be the left tackle, and then they're like, "We're not going to do that. Actually, let's just sign Donovan Smith, get a 1-year rental on a guy who has a lot of left tackle experience." But as we've seen, or as we saw in the season, they drafted. His name just escaped me. Wanye. Yeah, I wanted to say Niang for some reason because that's the first 3rd round that popped into my mind.
Not for the left side.
Both 3rd round tackles that they drafted, but they draft Wanye in the 3rd round, and he gets some reps. Obviously, when Donovan Smith was hurt, and I think, I don't think the job is going to be handed to Wanye in any way, but he definitely will compete for the left tackle job in this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see what the Chiefs do with that. If they draft another guy, if they sign another cheap vet for like a 1-year deal to kind of compete for that spot, who knows? Donovan Smith might re-sign for another cheap deal. There's a lot of question marks is what the Chiefs plan. I don't think they even probably know what their tackle plan is going to be. Nobody really predicted what they did last year, so we'll see. That will be something. Donovan Smith played okay as a left tackle for us this year. You can definitely upgrade, and I think if you can get your left tackle of the future, you try to do that as opposed to kind of delaying it one more year. But we'll see. We'll see if Lanier can kind of step up and take that job. We'll see if they really like some tackles at the end of the first round or second round or something like that, and make a move for that. But probably not a big swing at left tackle as far as free agency or anything like that, if I had to guess.
I just want to do this. I would largely take last season's what they did and launch them out of a very tall balcony window. Because 99.9% of what happened last offseason happened because what Tweedledee and Tweedledumbass from Wish.com's agency division did, and that derailed the entire, and I'm not kidding. That changed the entire offseason because those two morons couldn't get their head from their rear ends and find
Chris Jones' agents, for those who are confused. Chris Jones' agents.
Look, so I wouldn't base a ton of the things that took place as far as how they spent money or went and did things, because none of that was plan A. Basically none of that. Maybe Jawan Taylor was, but the rest of that was not plan A, because plan A was sitting in a friggin' press box between those two doofuses on week 1 and didn't have a contract figured out. So
right.
I would be more inclined to watch what they did the previous off seasons for a history lesson on what you're going to get from this front office, more so than last year's one, because of just how stupid and goofed up it was because of things that happened. That said,
so what you're telling me is that we're trading for Orlando Brown again.
God, I hope not, because we don't want that. That said, it's hard to talk about the tackle position without talking about the draft, because it's something that they're going to look at, I'm sure. The problem is, as I already mentioned, there's not a lot of left tackles at the top of this draft pool for talent. So you're probably not getting a first-round tackle there. So that's just something if you're wanting a first-round tackle, you're probably not getting it unless you're trading up, because Joe Alt's going top 10 and Olu Fashanu is either going top 10 or top 15. So,
for sure. Just we'll throw out just a couple of the names, like guys that, without us moving anywhere, with us staying pat at 32, there are still some.
You're going to say a bunch of guys that played right tackle, and I'm going to go no.
No. We're going to look at guys like Jordan Morgan from Arizona, who I think is arguably one of the more athletic tackles in this class. People are going to down
in the first if it's not us.
Might kind of have short arms though.
Yeah, he does have short arms, 33 inches. But if you watch the dude on tape, he just got better all year. And he's still coming back from an ACL injury. So this is his first year back from an ACL.
Randy, everybody does this every year with me with tackles and the arms that aren't long enough. And you can talk to me until you're purple about how good they are at certain things. But if his arms are not stretched to a certain length when they take that damn tape measure, Andy and Brett are going to go,
I'm saying Jordan Morgan probably is not in play because of his arm length. I don't think it's as big of a deal, but I don't coach in the NFL.
They do.
Guys like Tyler Guyton is a possibility from Oklahoma. Amarius Mims could potentially still be there towards the end of the first round. And there's some guys that could be available in the second and even third, with Patrick Paul from Houston. The kid from BYU. BYU kid that I cannot pronounce his last name, Sua Matia. Who's a big athletic dude as well.
Yeah.
And even Javon Foster, maybe a third, fourth rounder from Missouri. So there are some.
Yeah. Also the Yale tackle.
Yep. The kid from Yale.
Very hard name as well.
Yeah, I'm all good with that, but not most of those dudes. I can't part with 32 or anything in the first round for those guys.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be something.
That
will monitor during the combine.
The reason I brought it up is because the tackle position in free agency is worse than the tackle position in the draft class.
Yeah, there's not a lot of great free agents.
Your tackles, and specifically left tackle free agents are, and there's 4 of them total.
Notable starting
33-and-a-half-year-old Tyron Smith. 33-and-a-half-year-old Tyron Smith. No, I mean there's literally 4 left tackles. There's 4 left tackles total on the Spot Tracker for free agency.
Oh, 4. Well, yeah.
And they're old, and they're not that.
They're all Dwayne Brown at 38.5 years old. Cornelius Lucas at 33 years old from Washington. and
Donovan
Smith.
Hmm.
So
maybe we
there's
should call.
not a lot.
We should give Jason Peters a call.
Tackle.
Maybe we should give Jason Peters a call.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that's going to be
So
tackle. Will be a position we talk about a lot the rest of the offseason and through the draft and whatnot. And there's going to be a lot of analysis. Obviously, it's really going to be determined of what they decide to do in free agency with it. So yeah, we really don't know, but we'll find out very soon.
Not a lot of tackle, which scares me.
Yeah. Donovan Smith kind of looks enticing the more you look at it, just to compete.
Especially if he's $3 million again. If he's $3 million again, we can talk that out.
Right. Also, another free agent offensive lineman for the Chiefs, Nick Allegretti, is
maybe a big
free agent.
Concern.
Yeah, that's a guy who knows.
Offseason free.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it throughout this year. Like, he could be a starting guard.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah, he can be. Nick Allegretti could be a starting guard for probably half the NFL teams. We'll see.
Maybe
we'll
20.
see. He can probably get some good value. He also might decide to come back for a cheaper deal for the Chiefs once again.
Yeah. Again, an injury that happened at the absolute worst time for him.
Yeah, but he didn't need it. According to his lineman doctor counterpart, I believe that's Mike Caliendo, by the way, guys, because I think he was going to med school.
Really? Wow.
You don't need a UCL to play O-line, quote.
Yep.
And that's from Nick Allegretti, by the way. It's quoting Mike. I'm pretty sure quoting Mike Caliendo, because Caliendo, the only one to go to med school besides Clyde, and Clyde's going for nursing. So, that's not med school. That's nursing school. Those are anyway. You guys know, but
something like that.
So the Allegretti thing is more of a what are we doing, because he's depth at like 4 spots.
Oh yeah,
3 for sure.
He can play center and both guards without a problem.
Yeah, I mean, he was our backup interior lineman this year.
Slide out, play right tackle if you have to.
Didn't they put him at right tackle when Andrew Wiley got hurt for a little bit too at one point? Yeah. So he's at minimum backup for 3 spots, and he's, like I said, starting. We've talked about starting caliber.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortably in like 15 to 20 offensive lines around the league. For
sure.
The injury is at a not great time, but again, I don't know how much that injury matters. Frankly,
that might kind of help the Chiefs in that situation. Though. Yeah. I'll say this.
Nice.
We talked this whole podcast about trying to save pennies where you can, and going younger and whatnot. Nick Allegretti might be a guy I might show out a little more to keep around. I mean, like you say, he's your backup interior lineman for 3 spots. He played, I mean, obviously he stepped up and started in the Super Bowl and played well. That's a guy who I might try to get to stick around for whatever kind of number, get him a well-deserved payday, but, keep him around, because having a backup interior guy like that is huge. And, it's more than likely. Huge. Yeah, it's more than likely that they'll draft at least one offensive lineman somewhere in this draft, tackle or guard.
At least one.
Yeah, so... that would be something to think about. But if you had to show out a little more cash for a free agent, I think Nick Allegretti would be near the top of that list.
And if you can get Allegretti to come back on a 2-3 year deal. I mean, how old is Tooney? Off the top, I mean, you see,
old enough,
and he's got 2 years left on his deal. 1 year left.
Joe is 31, so, and he has. This year,
he can still play for another 5 years if he wanted to, but
he's got this year at $26 million and next year or $27 million each cap hits for the next 2 years, which is another reason I think that he's an extension candidate.
Right. Yeah.
And then we mentioned, Creed Humphrey is obviously going to be up for a contract soon. Trey Smith is going to be, and
he needs to learn how to snap, or they may find a new center.
And that's the thing.
Team has moved on.
We love. Yeah, and we love Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith both. Like, they are both really phenomenal players, but it might kind of work out that you sign Nick Allegretti and, knock on wood, something happens to one of those guys. Nick steps up and earns the starting job and doesn't give it back. And that's just kind of what they roll with. So,
and again, this franchise has gone from Rodney Hudson to Mitch Morse, a couple minutes to Austin Ryder to Creed Humphrey.
Austin Ryder also a free agent. What are we going to do about him?
Austin Ryder did just fine for what he did when he was here, but he was a stopgap to get to the next Chiefs center, and that's fine. They literally went 3 for 4 on All-Pro Hall of potential, if they ever gave linemen credit, Hall of Fame centers.
Right. Yep.
You will never see Rodney Hudson or Mitch Morse in the Hall of Fame. Never, because they don't have rings, and they just don't give linemen Hall of Fame stuff without rings
talented,
and all pros.
Definitely
so
huge.
That's one of the reasons Creed has a chance at it, if he can figure out the snapping. But also, if he doesn't get that snapping on point, they may go get another center anyway.
Yeah, it was a little sketchy towards the end of the season there, for sure.
And like I said, I'm not knocking. I love Creed, but that, and I know he knows it, and I'm sure Andy Heck and them have talked about it. That's got to get fixed. So, all that said, the Tooney contract, those extensions, those are going to happen. That stuff's going to happen. The Nick Allegretti is a big piece. It's a depth thing. We'll see what they decide to do, or if somebody from one of those other 20 teams throws a big ass bag at him.
Yeah,
and he's
I definitely wouldn't.
Business.
Yeah, like he definitely deserves a bag. So someone should pay him, and I wouldn't mind paying him. So,
here's what I want to kind of wrap with, Garrett, if you'll let me.
Yeah. Do it.
We talked a bunch about our free agents. We've gone through pretty much all of our free agents. It's kind of how we wanted to start the offseason primer, because we got to get a foothold and a baseline to start somewhere. And that's kind of where that's where the team will start. So that's kind of where we wanted to start. That said, the combine is coming up, but the next thing to really take place in a transactional standpoint is the start of tampering and free agency that's coming at the beginning of March. There's tag deadlines that I think is March 3rd. Then the tampering period I think is that following Monday, which is like March 10th or 11th, and then free agency opens that Tuesday or Wednesday, like the 13th.
Yeah.
If you had to go out and add a guy who is either already available or going to be most likely, in other words, a guy potential cap casualty from a competing around the team, because there's a bunch of guys that have already been kind of reported as potential cap cuts and whatnot. If you guys had to go out and pick an outside free agent to bring in, who would it be? I don't care about position. I don't care about. We don't have to necessarily talk about contract. You can assume that you're operating under your optimal scenario for Snead and Jones and however you want to do.
I gotcha. Yeah, and we're still pretty early into the free agency process, obviously. So who knows who will fully be available or not?
This will change. I guarantee.
Yeah, this will change. If we had to choose one guy though, right early on, and Randy, you got any ideas?
When I start thinking about free agents, my brain immediately goes to wide receiver. We have an incredibly young wide receiver crew. Our veteran, the oldest guy we have, MVS, is gonna get cut. There's no way we can pay him. And
more than likely,
thank you for your service.
Unless they randomly decide to extend him and move some money.
Unless he's willing to take a severe pay cut, he is not.
Don't put that juju out in the world, Garrett. He's just going to be gone. So you look at the top level guys. Guys like Mike Evans, who's going to cost you $25 million a year. So I think Mike Evans is out of the
about 25, but yeah, plenty.
But there's some guys that are going to get tagged. Unfortunately,
Mike might be a little old for 25. That's the only thing I got there.
T. Higgins is going to get tagged. I'm going to guess that
he already got tagged.
Yeah, so Michael Pittman Jr. is probably going to get tagged. So you start looking down that line of some other guys that might be available that I think can still do some good things. A guy that I think could still get maybe a little on the cheaper side is a guy like Curtis Samuel, which I wouldn't hate. At 27 years old. He can move the chains. He's still got some
EB's offense last year,
right?
Yeah.
For whatever that was worth with Sam Howell, they tried to run EB's offense.
Yeah. I am not a Hollywood Brown guy. I know that's a guy that gets thrown around a lot.
God, no, please no.
I just don't.
No offense, Hollywood, but
I don't want to see it. I really don't want to see it.
No offense, Hollywood, but no, thank you. Please no.
There's
a little bit of offense.
I would love to kick the tires a little bit and bring Amir Smith-Marset back. I would have loved.
That's not a veteran. Just kidding.
He's not going to move the needle a ton, but I think he does bring. True, but I think he should have been on the roster over some of the guys we kept last year.
You're probably right, and he thinks that too, judging by the shit he.
Hindsight's 2020. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
I know he probably didn't want to be in Carolina and would have preferred to be in Kansas City last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's guys like Calvin Ridley out there, and he's 29. He's pushing the thing. I'm not a huge
there's some
guy, but
that's way too much overlap with Rashee Rice, which you heard me get frustrated with earlier. No, thank you. I'm good.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. When I look at it, there's a lot of free agent wide receivers. I don't know if I'm necessarily in love with any particular one. There's a couple guys you could probably bring in and have a little bit of a role, but I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced by a lot of the wide receivers. If I had to add one free agent, and I'm really not super high on a lot of free agents. It's not like a great free agent class.
That's a good thing,
Jared.
You shouldn't be high on free agents. They're more expensive every time. You always pay
so if
more.
you're looking, I'm looking for more for some bargain bin deals. Some budget guys that we can bring in, have a good role. A guy who was recently just released, who has some familiarity with the Chiefs, Mr. Emmanuel Ogbah, would be a guy I might look at getting a cheaper deal. Obviously, Mike Dana's going to be a free agent, probably go get a contract from someone else. I think you can bring Emmanuel Ogbah back, get him a cheaper deal, and have him in that rotation while Charles Omenihu, recovers and some of the younger guys still develop. I think he could step in immediately. Obviously, having played here a couple years. And provide a good impact for he's going to be on the opposite side of 30 by the time the season starts. So just a rotational piece, a veteran guy that you can add to the D line. Nothing crazy.
I don't mind Emmanuel. He's, like you said, that's a fit. They could add some rotational depth behind George, behind what is anticipated to be Felix and Charles whenever he gets back. Assuming Chris Jones is still there, Akuming Bugs comes in, you still have Farrell. So I like that. Ogbah's that's a you want a ring chase again there, Haas. Yeah. You like Kansas City more than Miami, I'm gonna bet. Let's come
right.
I mean, if Tyreek is any indication, Miami's cool and all, but it's not the same. Anyway, so mine hasn't been released yet. There's been a lot of talk about him potentially getting let go from his current location. He would save them some money if they did. He is older. This is his age 32 season, but he's a veteran wide receiver that I think would add a tremendous dimension to this offense and play a big role and help a lot of these young guys learn how to be pro wide receivers, learn how to run routes, learn what to do, how to feel off the quarterback. And it's kind of funny. I was listening to our friends over at Chiefs Concerns the last couple episodes they put out, and it's a guy that I've been talking about as soon as I saw him get rumored, and they've been hammering it. Tyler Lockett. He's a former.
Yeah. His
dad played here. K-State kid.
Right.
Seattle is going to be looking to figure out their next steps. They've already kind of got his replacement with who they wanted to bring. They got DK now. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba up there now. They've kind of added on. He's going to be $28 million against the cap this year. They could save $9 or $10 million, I think, this year by cutting him, and then save another 20 for next year's cap by cutting him. So there's a chance he gets cut and released. And if he gets cut and released, and because he still put up almost 1,000 yards last year, so he's not gone anywhere. He's pretty consistent. He runs the deep ball.
One of the more underrated receivers, really, of this generation. I mean, he's just consistently 100%. Been a very good player for Seattle. And like you said, he's at 32. He'll be, you're not going to rely on him for like a big role, but get him in there, get him in the mix. I mean, he'll have more of an impact than Richie James or anybody else. MVS even.
They gave MVS 2 years for $30 million a couple years ago. 2 years, 25. 2 years, 30 even. I'm okay with Tyler because one of those is going to be similarly structured to the way MVS's was, where you can probably cut him afterwards and not have a whole ton of dead money in that third year or whatever. So I think MVS's was technically a 3-year deal, but again, we see the third year was basically funny money. Same concept. 2 for 30, 3 for 45, whatever. Let him come in. Let him teach this young wide receiver core and maybe the wide receiver coach if you continue to keep Connor Embry employed at that position.
Yeah, maybe just have him maybe trade and maybe get him and then have him as the wide receiver coach / player, have a player coach out there.
So but legitimately, they need. I don't think you're going to get a crazy splash at the wide receiver position because they're going to draft wide receivers. That's what their MO has been. But an addition like a Tyler Lockett style guy, he just makes a lot of sense in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. We will have to see. We will see, obviously, how the free agency plays out, how everything else goes.
I hope they don't cut you, Tyler, so you keep your job, but I hope they cut you so you can come play here. Sorry.
Yeah, come win another ring with us. And I think he has a ring, right? He was there in 2013 or whatever, right?
There's a couple intriguing little free agent running backs out there that might not be a bad ad.
Yeah, there's a couple guys who were rumored to the Chiefs. I know Eckler got some love from somebody.
Not so much Eckler, but I'm like, I feel bad for J.K. Dobbins. That dude coming out from Ohio State had so much talent. He was so versatile. And just the injuries that he has just had the worst luck you can imagine. But, a guy like Antonio Gibson, he's a versatile dude. He's a hard runner, played wide receiver in college a little bit, so he's got good hands. He's not going to be overly expensive. But yeah, just a couple of guys.
They won't take one in the 3rd or 4th round, and I really have a couple in that area that I would really like to see on the roster.
If I had my choice and he was available in the 3rd round and we got, a wide receiver and a tackle, we were good to go, I am going to be banging the table for Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin. Give me that big old battering ram of a
Wrong guy.
Just run through people.
Wrong guy.
Yeah, I know you want the Notre Dame kid. I get it.
Running back
is so much fun to watch. He gets so underrated because he doesn't look fast, but when he's actually out, it's so much fun. That kid, he reminds me of a little bit with the vision and the patience that made Le'Veon famous, but he's better. Right. I think he's at the same. They see holes that he understands, run concepts and flow. He's fun to watch, and he pass blocks. So.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see.
I love Braylon Allen. He's got 3 straight 1,000 yards. He's gonna.
That kid's no slouch. Braylon's
20 years old. He's gonna be. But this, like I said, there are 5th, 6th round guys that I think could be really, really productive in our system.
The only thing that concerns me about Wisconsin running backs is they get used a monumentous amount in Wisconsin before they get to the NFL.
Carries with another dude this year for most of the season.
Thank God, because I remember when was it Ron Dane that came out of there that he had like 7,000 carries in college before.
If we would have just taken Jonathan Taylor instead of CEH, we wouldn't even be talking.
Yep. If Tom was here, you already know he would have mentioned it. So I'm glad.
I was waiting for that. I'm glad.
If Tom was here, he would have mentioned it immediately.
That might be one of the most mad moments I've been at a Chiefs draft pick that I can remember.
Yeah. Running backs, listen, there's going to be some running backs to talk about. There's going to be a lot more to talk about this rest of this offseason. Yep. We got the combine coming up. We've got starter free agency. We've got the tag window. We've got everything. And, as much as we can sit here and try to predict, usually the Chiefs like to do some pretty unpredictable things. So we're going to have to see. We're going to play it by ear. We're going to update you guys as it goes. And
this could change by the time you're hearing this.
Yeah, there's a chance they just go ahead and sign Adrian Peterson out of retirement, and here we go.
Derrick Henry is a Kansas City. What the hell?
Hey, maybe.
No, I'm kidding. He's way too much money for an old ass running back.
But maybe. I mean, imagine though. Just imagine it. All right. Just
for
imagine.
What?
For fun. All right. It's fun, Kyle. He's Derrick Henry. All right. So with that being said, that should about wrap up this episode. Before we sign any other Titans greats, maybe Earl Campbell, just bring him out, bring him back. Eddie George.
Does Christian Okoye got a game or two left in him?
Yeah. So
I don't know if y'all saw that or not, but somebody I don't know if I surely don't think Emmanuel did it, but apparently his nickname is the Nigerian Nightmare on his Pro Football Reference page.
I did see that.
And that did not go over swimmingly with Chiefs Kingdom in the slightest.
What the heck is that? What is that? Pro Football Reference.
Everybody was like, I think it was Matt Connor that tweeted it out. He was like, no. Not no, but no.
Pro Football Reference, great site, but they have some questionable nicknames.
Some of those nicknames, I'm like, who Who
Yeah.
called him that?
Yeah, nobody's ever called. Yeah, it's interesting. So with that being said, we'll wrap it up here. We want to hold you guys all day. Randy, we appreciate you coming on as always. You guys got a lot.
Again.
Yeah, you guys got a lot going on at Kingdom Recon. So everybody
Please
should
watch
check that
all of their
out.
draft content. It's really good, and
Yeah, they're going to dive into the draft a lot
than
deeper than what we do.
Well, and they've been doing it for months, and they've got a lot of it. So
we're just getting started.
There's content up if you're looking to catch up, because there's going to be stuff you're going to want to catch up on. I think. What have you guys done so far that I know that's already out? I know you guys have done O-linemen.
Yeah, I mean, we started off with our first episode. We picked our top 10 guys that we followed throughout the course of the year. We've done O-line, we've done D-line, we've done running backs and wide receivers. This last episode, we actually did our first mock draft, our first pre-combine, pre-free agency. We just kind of went down the line, and it was a lot of fun. Interesting to see how we kind of think the board's going to shake out and where guys are going to fall, but like we said earlier, a lot of that is going to change after the combine, after free agency, after all that stuff. So,
yeah,
but, hit us up, drop us a question. If you got a guy that's your draft crush that we haven't touched on yet, let us know in the comments. We'll dig into it and we'll let you know what we think. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't know what just happened to me. I just my eyes died or something.
We didn't know what happened to you either. So we were just
seems like you guys killed it. So, anyways, yep. Before something dies again, I'll sign us out of here. Thank you all for tuning in, watching, listening. Be sure to check us out at Kingdom Says Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check out our YouTube, Kingdom Says, over there. That's also where you find Kingdom Recon content, which we're going to try to get them on Spotify and Apple Music soon as well. We got to do that soon, but. A lot of cool content we're going to be doing there. Obviously, follow us on Twitter, aka X, and we got always good stuff going there.
Get over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, because once you get subscribed and there's enough subscribers, we can open up the Discord for you guys, and then the fun starts.
Yeah, so check us out there. We've got a long off season ahead of us, but a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in, watching, listening. And we will see you guys in the next episode of The Kingdom Says.